Hey, what is up, fellow anime fans, one and all? Welcome to the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo channel. My name is Jay, and today I want to talk about an anime that you may or may not have heard of. It's not One Piece back here. It is a little anime called Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Now, this is a pretty old anime. I want to say it came out in like 2015, 2016. And I just wanted to talk about it. I watched up until about episode 6, and I couldn't get through it. Which, I know that's kind of like a bad stigma. That's not really the best thing I should do for my first video, is like quit an anime halfway through the first season. But I think I have a pretty valid reason. It is
sexualization of minors.
But we'll get into that. We'll get into that here in a bit. But sit back, relax, enjoy your popcorn, and we're gonna do this episodically. We're gonna go on an in-depth analysis, I guess. It's a plot summary for each episode. So strap in, relax, eat your popcorn, put me on your second monitor, or whatever it is you're gonna do, and let's talk some Dragon Maid. So, episode 1 starts us out with our main character, Miss Kobayashi. Miss Kobayashi here is to put it simply, an office worker bum. That's really all that she has to her, except she gets drunk here and there, and she becomes loud and obnoxious. And on one of these loud and obnoxious drunk evenings, she goes into the forest and meets a big-ass green dragon with a legendary sword stuck in her from who knows when. And so Miss Kobayashi frees that dragon, and the dragon turns into a hot anime girl. Ooh, sexy. Now, next day, Miss Kobayashi gets up and she hears a knock on her door. She doesn't know who it is because she doesn't remember the night before. She was blacked out, okay? She was fucked up. Alright, and she answers the door, and what is the first thing she sees? A big green bean mean dragon. And this dragon turns into, again, a hot anime girl. Her name is Toru. And Toru, the best way to describe her character is simply loud, obnoxious,
big bazongas.
And at first, Miss Kobayashi doesn't remember any of this and is like, well, no, I don't want you as my maid. But then later changes her mind, and then, hijinks ensue. And some of these hijinks ensue is Miss Toru becoming learning how to be a maid. And, there is one thing that is funny in this series, which later stops happening, but there's a character who she calls named Fafnir. I'll call him Fafnir. I don't know how to Fafnir. How do you pronounce this? Fafnir. So she calls him on the phone and she's like, hey, what do I do to clean or this or that? And he's just like,
kill them all. Make sure not a single one is left standing.
I thought that was pretty funny, but for the most part, it's just introductions and stuff like that. Nothing really big going on there. So now we move on to episode 2. Now, episode 2, a little bit more happens. We see Miss Kobayashi and Toru going out shopping. We find out that over some time, I'm not sure how long, but over some time, Toru's become friends with some of the locals there, some of the locals in the shopping area, and which later turns into her stopping a purse snatcher. And now, something about this episode I really would like to point to is how good the animation is. That is one thing I want to point out, because I'm a sucker for good animation. Okay, I love One Piece, I love Jujutsu Kaisen's animation, Dragon Ball Daima has amazing animation, and I believe that Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is one of those animes, so you get a star there. And then later they go home, and there's a little person following them. Her name is Kanna, okay? Kanna is a lolly. Just kidding, she's just a child. Wrong again, dumb fuck. 300 years old. This shit is exhausting. Honestly, Kanna's got to be one of the only characters that I really liked in this series. Now, not on some Diddy shit, okay? I'm just gonna stop you right there. No, it's just because out of all the characters, she's the least annoying. That's really it. She's just the least annoying. And so how we meet her is, Toru, she leaves, goes out shopping again, and then Miss Kobayashi hears a knock on the door, and it's Kanna. Now something funny that happens is Kanna calls Miss Kobayashi a cuckold. But something that the show tends to do, and that's part of the reason why I could not make it past episode 6, and I'll delve into it a little bit more, is it seems to really sexualize its younger characters. Like, there's this one scene where it's blurred, but it's like them cleaning each other. Okay, I really did not fuck with that, but alright guys, we gotta stop the fucking video for a sec, because I couldn't find it through skimming, so I found the scene I'm talking about. Right, I found it. This is it right here. This is in the anime. It's in the anime. I can't find where it's at. But this is a whole new rabbit hole. Anime bath scene wiki, bro. What the fuck? What are we doing? What are we doing? I thought, maybe it was like a Stephen King situation where he was just high on fucking cocaine and when he wrote it, so that's why we have some fucked up scenes. Now that's not justifying anything, but I wanted something, okay? I wanted something, but as we'll see later, it gets much worse, at least in my opinion. We move on to episode 3. Now episode 3 starts out with Kanna looking over the balcony at some children walking by, presumably getting done with school. And we find out that she wants to go to school, okay? Remember, at the end of this, she's a child. And so the whole episode, so like a good half of the episode is them going out shopping, getting school supplies, getting book bags, stuff like that. She wants this keychain, if I remember correctly, and Miss Kobayashi ends up buying it for her, and it's a wholesome moment, and it's actually really nice. That's one thing I can say about this series, is that it has some really good wholesome moments, that it's really good in the wholesome section. It just has too many, like, if it was just like a wholesome show and if it was only that, I could get behind it, but instead it wants to have fan service, sexualized minors, and overall just not my thing. After all this school stuff subsides, she ends up going to school. They get her school supplies, she gets ready, and she meets someone named Riko. Now Riko is a pretty annoying character. She has a crush on Kanna that becomes apparent in later episodes, and it's right after that, her and her friend Rika go out to go hang out, right? Do kid shit at a playground. And all of a sudden, they meet a group of delinquents. We don't get these names for these delinquents, and quite frankly, I don't want to know the names for these delinquents. But what ends up happening is Rika ends up rage baiting them with mid-level rage bait, and then it ends up turning into a brawl for a game of dodgeball, I believe. They play dodgeball against each other to see who wins. Well, Rika's scared, but what is her name? I forget. Holy moly. Kanna isn't worried, okay? So they get the help, holy moly. They get help from their other dragon friends, Fafnir and Koa, and they end up demolishing those delinquents. They just wipe the floor with them. They're out and about. And so now they decide, well, let's go against each other. They do so. Hijinks ensue. Yada yada, you get the gist. Again, episode 5. Now, something you're going to realize is that I'm kind of speed running through this, and it's not intentional. It's just that there isn't really much to go off of on this. I mainly picked this one because I knew there wasn't going to be much to it, because this is a new thing for me for this YouTube channel. Well, this is a new thing for me for any YouTube channel, really. So I'm just trying this one out, just like a surface level story anime, and then we'll get into some deeper stuff more later in the future with deeper stuff to talk about. Holy crap, I can't talk. That brings us to episode 5. And episode 5 takes place in, Miss Kobayashi's workplace, where Toru is spying on her. See, she goes invisible because she wants to see, where does Miss Kobayashi work? Well, she works in a dingy office, like I said earlier. So she goes invisible, she goes in there, does her thing, and that's where we meet Miss Kobayashi's asshole of a boss. Now, I'm going to be so for real with you. You could not do that to me and make it out alive. Like, that boss is just an asshole. So she ends up getting some revenge, trips him up a little bit, make him look like a dumb fuck, and then, they leave. Miss Kobayashi knew it was her because, how else would he trip like a billion times in a minute? It's pretty absurd. It was pretty obvious that it was Toru. Go to the next day, Toru's out and about just doing her thing, and she sees Fafnir. I keep on saying his name different each time, I am so sorry. But she has to sing Fafnir, and she's like, oh, what are you doing out in human civilization? You're a dragon. You hate people. Well, what's up? And what we find out is he wants to live among humans because, well, if Toru can, why can't he? Maybe he might enjoy it. So they end up going off, trying to find somewhere to live, and there's a scene where he just slaps just a piece of raw gold on the table. And the guy's like, and the realtor's like, do I look like a pawn shop to you, nigga? Get the hell out of my store. Store? That makes no sense. Oh, whatever. You get the gist. What am I? So they sit in a park, not really knowing what to do, not really know where to go, and then they get the bright idea to go They get the bright idea to go see Miss Kobayashi's friend. I forget his name and I don't care to remember it. Oh yeah, I should have brought him up earlier because he's in the first episode, but he doesn't really do much up until now. He's not really important until now. So this is Miss Kobayashi's friend. I'm not gonna remember his name, and I don't want to remember his name. But essentially, all he really served up until this point is a drinking buddy for Miss Kobayashi, and now she's Fafnir's roommate. Yay! And the only reason why they're roommates is because they bond over video games, because Fafnir seems to like those, but that's really all that he serves. I'm gonna be totally for real with you. And then we get to episode 6, where I dropped the show because that's some bullshit. I did not like that one. So what made episode 6? What made me drop the show? Well, I think I alluded to it earlier, but it's the sexualization of minors. See, I can put up with a lot of stuff in anime. One of the animes I want to talk about later is called Domestic Girlfriend. If you know, you know. I will talk about that one later, but that one gets into some wild territory. But what it doesn't do is sexualize a child, at least from what my memory serves. And so, let me just break it down. So, we end up going to Riko's residence, and she has a maid, and Miss Kobayashi, something I forgot to mention, is she loves maids for some reason. That's her whole thing. She knows a lot about them, and so her and her friend geek out and drag Toru up there. And then we see Rika and Kanna go up into their room. Now, at first they play Twister, which I knew where this was going the moment that happened, but it was short. And then they end up straddling each other, and it gets really weird. But whatever, it's not whatever, but you got to keep it rolling, Maybe again, Stephen King, cocaine, And then that same episode, we see Cora, I think it's her name. I don't care to remember her name. Big Tits, right? We're gonna call her Titties. We find out got summoned by a little boy who's a part of a family of sorcerers, right? And so she kind of just been crashing with them because now she wants to live in a civilization of humans, like Toru. So she's trying to get this kid to like her or whatever, and he just ain't budging. And eventually, he does end up seeing her because he thinks she's a demon, and so they eventually tell him that, hey, I'm not a demon, I'm a dragon, we cool now. But she wants to continue living with the boy, and she kind of realizes that if she wants to live with the boy and live with the family, she's got to be somewhat useful. I mean, Toru, she's a maid, for God's sakes, right? So she's listing off a few things, and the kid's like, nah, I mean, I'm good. But then her final suggestion is to offer her body to the young lad. And I'll just play the clip on screen because I saw this and I just was like, I'm done. I dropped it right then and there. Oh yeah, I gotta give it a 1 out of 10 for that. Yeah, and before anyone tries to argue with me, this comment that I saw under episode 1 is how I view every single one of you Dragon Maid fans. Just so you know, you're defending some Diddy shit. I can't fuck with that. I can't fuck with this. And the worst part is, I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about this because it's just gross. I don't know why it's so normalized in anime just because it's Japanese. Oh, Like, no, we shouldn't be sexualizing kids. That's just disgusting. You're gross. No, what? But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna wrap things up here because yeah, I know, weird choice to start out with the first video, but I just want to start out with something, simple for the most part. I didn't think it would delve in this far, but I already watched the series, so I might as well make it into a video. So if you enjoyed the video and you watched this far, why not like and subscribe? I'll always have more, and I'm trying out here, so yeah.
Peace.